And welcome to the Ramp Up to Your Retirement podcast with your host, Dan Reese. Dan, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
I like this topic. People stick around because today Dan is taking on the fight of the influencer versus the planner. And in this case, specifically, what's a financial influencer versus what is a certified financial planner? It's a big, big difference, isn't it, Dan?
Oh my gosh. I think it's a good topic because it's so easy to get sucked in with the scrolling we all do today, whether it's TikTok or Reels or Instagram or whatever your choice is. And those algorithms are smart, right? So they pay attention to what you pay attention to. And so you can get sucked down this rabbit hole. So if finance is interesting to you, which for a lot of people it is, guess what you're going to see and see a whole lot of?
Financial influencers.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing because I think honestly, if you look back, like Dave Ramsey, right? He was probably the initial financial influencer, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yes.
And Dave had a great platform as far as what his beliefs were. And a lot of it was centered in his faith. But, this idea of reducing debt and, making sure that you're not paying, all your money's not going out, before you get your check almost each month.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, if people are asking, that is an example, right, of a financial influencer.
I want to say this without launching into a rant here. The big difference is that influencers, whether they be financial influencers or any other kind of influencer, don't make their living really on what they know. To be cynical, they make their living on who sees them and how many people sees them. So some of these financial influencers, you pick Dave. Dave happens to know what he's talking about. Dave has a point of view and a system that he promotes, and he does know what he's talking about. But that's not the qualifier. That's not what it takes to be a financial influencer. It's profoundly different when you look at a certified financial planner and the difference there.
Yeah, and I'll go back to Dave for a minute because if you think about it, he existed before all this financial influencing.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's been around for years and years. And so he's a really unique case because he has embraced online, exposure and everything. And he's done a really good job with that to get his message out. But that was not his initial driver, right? Where today, where you see a lot of the influencers that are out here, their primary driver, like you kind of mentioned, is to get views, right? To get as many people watching them.
That's how they make their income, Dan. It's like the more people that watch them, the more money that they're going to get on a return on the video that they post.
100%. And so like part of it is for like, if you're going to do that for a living is views get you money, get you advertisements, get you revenue. It's pretty straightforward.
Exactly.
But then secondarily, there's other things we'll talk a little bit about, or what are the other things they're doing to try to monetize it further, right? As we get into this a little bit. So it's an interesting topic we're going to jump into because there's good, bad, and ugly, right? just like in almost everything in life. I'm really interested in it because, like I say, there's pros and cons for sure.
Yeah, and we just touched on this, and this is where I want to take us right now, Dan, because I know that this is near and dear to your heart. You do not have to have any credentials to be a financial influencer. I could go be a financial influencer. You do, however, have to have credentials to be a certified financial planner. And I know a lot of people who are CFPs, you being one of them, Dan, and it is not an easy thing to get. It's a tough test. It requires being licensed. It requires knowledge.
Yeah. And it requires ethics and it requires, fiduciary standard. No, there's no question that's kind of scary because if you think about, you wouldn't I shouldn't say this, some people may, but like with your health, if you had a serious health issue, generally you're going to go try to find the most qualified physician to help you with that issue. And it's pretty simple, right? It's your health. It's life and death many times. You may see some things online because there's influencers around health too. There's all kinds of them, right? But like you said, the thing you always want to keep in mind as you're seeing this content from influencers is they don't have any requirement. Like as a certified financial planner, we have education around investments, estate planning, taxes, you name it, right? All these different areas of finance. retirement income planning, all these things. And we're tested on it. And we have continuing education standards every year that we have to complete in order to keep our designation as a certified financial planner. And when you think about that compared to, hey, I can go wing it. No one's really paying that close of attention to me. No one's really overseeing me. That doesn't mean they don't have some good content. But what it means is you have to be aware of what you're watching, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. You were talking there, and I thought, yeah, a lot of people do go online to get health information. In fact, a lot of friends I know refer to as, have you consulted with Dr. Google today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend that's a physician that always laughs. He doesn't really laugh at it, cringes about it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because they're already self-diagnosed when they come to see him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. Actually, yes, I have known more than a couple of doctors who've expressed their frustration with me about their patients who go online and they read something there and they go, well, and they come in and tell the doctor, well, this is what I read. This is I think this is what's wrong. And the doctor's like, but no, I'm your doctor.
Right. 100%.
So there's a big, big, big difference there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, one of the big things that we talk about with the certified financial planner is they're invested in your success, right?
Yes.
And so that personal relationship, and the same thing with a good doctor wants to see you be healthy, right?
Yeah.
They can't force you to do certain things, just like we can't force a certified financial planner you to do certain things. But, we want to see you have success and do well. And we're invested in that because obviously one of the things with how we get paid, if we don't consistently do a good job and help you be successful, we're not going to have any clients to work with, right? Where if you're an influencer and you continue to get views, it really doesn't matter, right? Because whether you know it or not, and a lot of people think, well, I'm not paying them anything. Well, you actually are in a way, because every time you watch that, it creates more views that they sell.
Yep, that's really true.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing that about it was a show, I think it might have been on Netflix, and it was actually very scary about, the Facebooks of the world, the Twitters of the world, all these different things, like how they monetize you whether you know it or not. Like you are the product. I mean, and they're basically selling it.
Yeah, no, that is truth. That is really, really truth. And here's for me, when I'm looking at this and then in the context of today's discussion, a financial influencer is trying to influence everyone. When a client walks into you and you have a number of clients, right? Each of those clients gets advice, gets guidance from you that is tailored to their circumstances and to them.
Yes. No, that's 100% true. I'll give you a simple example of that. Like Roth conversions are very, very popular as a tax planning tool, and it's something that a lot of people do where they're taking their pre-tax money and they're converting it into a Roth, paying taxes today. And there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of analysis. And we saw a specific example where we had a new client had come into the office and they're like, oh, I did a Roth conversion last year. And they had followed the advice of some people, let's just say that. And we started reviewing their case, and a Roth conversion was really not appropriate for them at all. And there was many reasons for that. Part of that had to do with their current balances and different types of accounts and long-term, what type of tax situation they were going to be in. So when you broke it all down, the Roth conversion actually was likely not going to save them much in tax at all, right?
Yep.
But because they thought, oh, I'd heard all this and read all this, that Roth conversions are great, that they did it, and that's just a perfect example of there are a lot of things out there that are good. There are things that maybe aren't so good, but how they apply to you personally, it's so unique. There's so many factors every family has with their finances. And as certified financial planners, that's your job, is to really understand everything about their finances and their own, wishes, wants, and needs, and then apply some of these things and strategies and that we use to them based on what makes sense. Where if you're watching this on TV and or I should say TV, I'm getting old, obviously, I'm saying TV.
YouTube, you're watching this.
Yeah, YouTube or whichever one you're using. The fact of the matter is they're talking, but they're really not talking to you, even though it might feel like they're talking to you. Because the fact that they don't know you, they have no idea what your situation is. And one of the areas you see this a lot around is Social Security. where they're throwing out these thoughts and ideas. Well, everyone should take it at this age, or no one should take it at this age. And you're thinking, how would they possibly know how that applied to the person that was, absorbing that content?
Yes. And to that point, you know my background. I spent several decades as a business financial news reporter. I was also an editor. I was also a manager and led newsrooms. And I used to talk to young kids coming into the industry all the time, and they would say, well, I just talked with this analyst, and they said this. And I'm like, yeah. Now, where were they coming from? And the kid would look at me and go, what are you talking about? I said, where were they coming from? What are they? Were they buy side? Were they sell side? What are they advocating? What are they talking about? And they'd be like, I don't understand. And I'd be like, well, you have to understand where people are coming from if you want to understand the context of what they're saying. Financial influencers are coming from a simple space. It's not evil. It's not bad. It's they want more viewers. They want more people. So they're going to speak in big, broad, general terms. That's the big difference to me. And you're underscoring it in my mind. You need to understand where people are coming from. Right, Dan?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very, very good point, because you think about a lot of these influencers, actually, their heart is in the right place. I mean, really, they're trying to get good content out to people. Many of them are based in some area, for example, maybe faith-based, like Dave Ramsey tends to be. It could be like there's a woman out there that is kind of based on helping women become more financially independent, which is awesome, right? Because, there's a lot of data out there that says single women tend to lag where they need to be with retirement savings and everything. So that stuff's great. And I will say the pros of that is that, hey, you're getting people aware.
Yes.
And that's my biggest thing that I'd like to get across today, is that use it for that, to become aware, understanding that, they may be giving very heartfelt advice, but they can't know how it applies to you because they're not speaking directly with you and they don't know your situation entirely, right? And so that's the big thing that I always get across, is where are they coming from? Possibly a really good place, which many of them are, but that doesn't mean that they're able to direct you personally.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Dan, if there are any red flags that you've noticed over your time and experience working with clients. Are there any red flags that you've noticed with influencers? Or
Yeah, and I'm going to I'll take this a little different direction too, because one of the things that used to be not exactly like an influencer, but somewhat similar, were these emails that used to go out, and they still do today.
Still do.
And these emails were very convincing, and they would be about, a lot of it was very doom and gloom, like you better do this now or you're going to be in trouble. And then when you start going down the rabbit hole, what you would find is that they were trying to sell you something. They were trying to sell a newsletter, and that was really popular, and a very expensive newsletter,
right,
that was going to solve all your financial problems. Again, they don't know anything about you. They were trying to sell something. And the red flags that we see are when they do a lot of teaser information. Like, oh, if you want to learn more, then, you need to subscribe to this, or you need to buy this. The other ones that is a big red flag, when they start talking about, you need to buy this stock or sell this stock. Usually it's buy the stock. Oftentimes they're on the other side of it. And so they're doing everything they can to push the value of that up, and then they dump it, right? And then they make a bunch of money, and then your stock goes way back down where it probably should have been valued to begin with, and you're on the hook for a bunch of losses. But anytime you're getting pushed to take action, especially if there's a cost either through you investing in something like a stock or buying something like a subscription, I would be very wary, because chances are that's not going to help you that much in the long run.
Yeah, and you just touched on an issue that we should really address immediately. There are costs in either one of these situations. The cost in the influencer area, it may be less obvious. You may not necessarily see it, because, as you pointed out, they could be encouraging you to do one thing while they do another. But there are also costs involved with consulting with financial planners. So how do we know when, as individuals, it's time to go sit down with a financial planner, and what should people be prepared for?
Yeah, I think first of all, cost is real. And oftentimes we just think of cost, like you said, is, oh, am I writing a check for something, or something going on my credit card, or something along those lines?
Mm-hmm.
But there are lots of costs in life. One of them is opportunity cost, and that can be a huge case where you're talking or listening. You're not talking to a financial influencer, although you could have some chats or something like that, but generally you're listening to them. And oftentimes the cost is what action are they directing you to take versus maybe what would be best for you, right? So like that cost can be extraordinary. I mean, that cost over time can be massive.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you're talking about money and your life savings, making good choices is huge. And you know how the thing about money that's great is it compounds, right? But what's really not great is mistakes also can compound. And so, not understanding that. And so oftentimes people will say, well, I'm kind of afraid of going and talking to a certified financial planner because I don't know what it's going to cost and all that. Let me give you a little update. Number one, most are not going to charge you anything to go talk to them, to say, hey, an initial conversation.
Yeah.
And secondly, generally speaking, whatever cost you end up paying a certified financial planner to work with them, normally you're going to get back, very good positive returns as a result of that. And not just maybe investment returns, because investment returns are everywhere. I mean, you can get really lucky or you can get really unlucky. But the thing is, when you look at how you feel about the actions you're taking, when you have more confidence where you're saying, okay, I'm saving to a Roth, or I'm doing this Roth conversion, or I'm putting money in a 529 for kids, or whatever it is that you're doing, or the life insurance you bought, or didn't buy, in what type of life insurance you bought, and what type of estate planning you did, if any. All those things are going to make you feel more confident when you're talking with someone regularly that has expertise and knows you. You know what I mean? Like they
Yes.
know you, they know what is important to you. They're making sure they're prioritized the right things to get done in what order so that you can make progress over time. Because that's the other hidden danger of influencers, is that you're watching this stuff. I'm a golfer, so I'm just going to use an analogy. So like if you start watching the little golf videos, it's not that different, because they have all these out there and like, oh, to hit the perfect chip, you do this. And if you want to get longer on your drive, do this. And, it's endless, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what starts happening? You start getting all over the place. And if you go to hit some range balls, you're thinking of that and this and that. And then you can't hit the ball at all.
That's a perfect analogy. That's like me at the driving range.
Yeah. And it's the same with this stuff. You're listening to all these things and your head gets filled with all these ideas. Some might be good, some not as good, but then you become paralyzed, or you start doing things that really don't work well together, strategies that may not complement one another.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you're in a really bad spot. And so that's really, in a nutshell, the concerns that I have around that.
That's pretty good. So if someone is ready, if someone is thinking, maybe I should talk to a financial planner.
Yeah.
Dan, what can you give us some quick tips in terms of, vetting people and where to find a certified financial planner?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's great, the Certified Financial Planner Board, that's easy for me to say, right?
Yeah.
They've got a letsmakeaplan.org now, which is a website. That's a great place to start. That's very good information, can get you directed towards a certified financial planner that's in your area. And one of the great things today, honestly, with technology, they don't necessarily have to be in your backyard. I mean, most certified financial planners will use Zoom and some of these other tools to have online meetings, which works pretty well. I mean, we do a lot of online meetings and people seem to like that. So that's one thing. But yeah, check out credentials. You want to make sure that whoever you're listening to or talking to has good credentials. See if there's any issues with them. You can look up through many of the broker check and some of these different things out there if they have any disciplinary issues, and which is a great thing to do. And again, going back to the financial influencers, that's one of the challenges. There's really not a way to check the information they're putting out. Is it good, bad, or otherwise? Because no one oversees them. And again, most of them have good things in their heart. They want to do a good job. They want to give good information. But the scary thing is that it's like, say you had a pharmacist that just did it on their own with no direction from a doctor, and they're like, hey, we know what all these drugs do, but is that necessarily the best thing, just to have them start prescribing stuff without even really knowing your health situation? And so that's the big thing, is really look out for who you're talking to, check them out, I mean, a lot of times now you're seeing, because there's been some rule changes with the SEC, where advisory firms can even have like ratings on Google, that you can have people go out and basically, you know what it's like, the 1 star to 5 star, they can make comments and things, and that can really be useful. Now, take that with a grain of salt too, because you know how that goes. Any firm can have somebody that's online that's like, oh, I'm going to go out and put something horrible about this company, even if it's not true. Right. So you got to look at trends in that area, but it's another tool to check out who you may want to talk to.
And Dan, just before we get out of here, I want to ask you to define a term because it gets thrown around a lot. And I think a lot of people assume they know what it means. Fiduciary.
Yeah.
You are a fiduciary. What does that mean, and what exactly is that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, there's a couple of duties there, but the main thing that you always want to remember, what a fiduciary truly does is put your interests first. So there's a duty of care and there's a duty of loyalty, right? So a duty of care is kind of what we've been talking about, is really, number one, make sure you know what you're doing and you're doing your best to give the best advice to that client. And a duty of loyalty is very simple, that their interests go before your own, right? So like the interest of the clients is before mine. And I think a good way to explain it, and I kind of went through this with a client the other day, and they had a big aha. And they were like, oh, I finally get it. And it was a case where we were talking about when to claim Social Security benefits. And in their particular case, the plan was for her to wait till her full retirement age, which was 67.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's like, well, I just don't understand this. And, like, I feel like I'm losing money. And a lot of people feel that way. But in her case, we'd run all the numbers, and that was going to put her in the best situation. And I explained to her, I said, do you understand that because you're not taking Social Security, you're taking more money out of your investment accounts? And she's like, yes. And I said, you understand how we get paid is based on typically the value of your investment account. Most fee-based advisors do.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah. And I said, so do you understand that by me giving you the advice to wait on Social Security, it actually means that we get paid less? I get paid less as your advisor than I would if I told you to start it earlier. And she's like, her eyes just lit up. She's like, oh, I think I finally get it. So you truly are, putting us first. And I'm like, yeah. And that's very similar to when we recommend Roth conversions, because if you think about your retirement account that's pre-tax, that hasn't been taxed yet, well, if you really think about it, the value of that account is not what it says on the statement, because some of that money is already set aside to go to the government.
Oh, yeah.
As you take that money out, it's going to go to the government. Some of it's going, and it depends on your tax rates and everything. And so when we recommend Roth conversions and we have to basically pay some of that money that's due to the government, again, that means the value of your account is lower because we've already paid some of the money out to the government, right? And so that means we get paid less. But if it's best for you, that's what we're going to tell you to do. And so those are two examples of how a fiduciary actually acts in practice, because a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, I'm a fiduciary, but they really don't live it out, and they really don't do the things they should be doing to put your interests first. And that's really important, is that you need to see over time that advisor you're working with is truly giving you advice that may not be the best for them, meaning like you could see like the things they're telling you to do is actually reducing their income, working with you. And then right away, hey, I've got somebody that's in my court, that really cares about me first.
That's excellent. So for anybody who's listening to this podcast today who are not a client of yours and who might be interested in having a conversation with you, Dan, what is the best way for them to reach out and initiate that contact?
Yeah, you can always call our office. The best thing to do, honestly, is go to the website, which is just averywealth.com. It's in the show notes. Everything's there. The contact us is there. You can shoot us a quick note. You can call the office. We'd be happy to get one of our certified financial planners on the phone with you to have just an initial conversation. And if it makes sense, then we can go on from there. But one of the things that we recommend to everybody, we have a tool that we call an asset map, and you can look it up online. It's a very popular tool. A lot of advisors use it. And if you are wondering where you are and maybe what actions you should be taking today, we can sit down and we can build that out for you in one appointment. There's no charge for that. and it builds out a visual picture of what your finances look like today. And then basically you can look at that with us and we can say, hey, these are some of the things we see from a tax standpoint, an insurance standpoint, an investment, and estate planning, and different areas of planning from your, what your world looks like today are things that we would recommend maybe you should begin to start working on. And so, that's something that doesn't cost anything, that can really help you gain some confidence around your situation and really begin to be able to chip away. Because, Bill, as you probably know, this stuff is not a fix it in 2 months thing. When you talk about financial planning, it's ongoing, it's ever changing. Like, that's one of the reasons you really need a good partner,
Right.
is because you need to continue to adjust things in your planning as the world changes and your world changes.
Very good point, and very, very, very true. Absolutely. So, folks, I would encourage you, if you don't know Dan and you're thinking this conversation sounds interesting, do reach out and give him a call. It costs nothing. It costs nothing for you to have that initial conversation with them. And so do it. The other thing that will cost you nothing to do is to become a subscriber if you're not one already. And all you have to do that is hit the follow button. Hit the follow button. And the beauty is, the next time Dan drops a new episode, you'll be notified and you can give that one a listen. In return, I'm going to ask one thing from you. If you find this podcast interesting, useful, helpful, tell people about it. Let people know. Word of mouth promotion is so invaluable and so deeply appreciated. And I'm going to thank you in advance for doing it, as a matter of fact. So until next time, I'm Bill Tucker on behalf of Dan and everybody behind Avery Wealth. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. We'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening to Ramp Up Your Retirement. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.averywealth.com or give us a call at 517-783-1695. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Avery Wealth. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. The opinions voiced in Ramp Up to Retirement with Dan Reese are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Guests on the show may not be affiliated with CWM LLC. Views and comments by guests may not be representative of CWM LLC. Investment advisory services are offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Carson Partners, a division of CWM LLC, is a nationwide partnership of advisors.